The problem with Sebbywebz. Uh-oh. There's a new video about me. The tonal balance of OG FF7 is extremely strong. It's very well done. Rebirth especially is appallingly bad. I've said this so many times. It's fine if you like Remake. It's fine if you like Rebirth. You like what you like, it's fine. What I don't like is when people lie about it. It's funny to me that I think in the FF7 Remake subreddit, they actually had to make a rule that you are no longer allowed to post my videos specifically and then rant about them for like 3 to 4 pages straight. Oh, this is gonna be good. Alright, let's do this.
I want to talk about a problem that's been brewing in online discourse of late. And it centers around one creator, a grifter, a rage-baiting jester by the name of Sebbywebz, and his connection to the Final Fantasy VII fandom. I first became aware of him in some random Reddit post calling out one of his videos for its toxic outrage farming bullshit.
Of course it was Reddit.
And I watched that video.
And thus began my reign of terror. Look at this guy having fun. I've never had fun in my life. I hate him. Okay, that's a bit shit.
And it got me curious. And I thought, you know what? I'll watch some more of his videos to get a good idea of what's going on here. And the more I watched, the angrier I got. I had opinions that I couldn't hold back anymore, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to talk about the toxic gatekeeping that I saw, the ridicule and the insults, and let Sebbywebz know exactly what I think of him. And you know what, Sebby?
You alright?
And I say that not because I think you needed to hear it, but I think other people do. Because yes, there is a level of toxic fandom.
The twist, the turnaround, the Uno reverse.
But with whom does that toxicity belong? There are some, a lot even, that levy that criticism against you and claim that you are the toxic one for expressing your feelings about the remake series in a way that they find less than appealing. But your critique of the game isn't toxic. No.
I will never get bored of that Red 13 farting face. All right, that's my magnum opus. All right, that's my Mona Lisa.
What I would say is what comes at you in the comments. The people that call you a fake fan, and much worse besides, because you say things they don't agree with about a
Wow, you just hate FF7 Remake. Butthurt loser incel behavior. Butt has 2 T's, by the way. You just spew bullshit in every direction and hope something sticks, huh? Oh yeah? Mr. One Like? You are a fucking idiot! Ah, yes. The loving FF7 Remake community.
Now, just because it's a game doesn't mean it's not important. The things that shape our lives, that give us our fondest memories, are always important, no matter what they come from. And Final Fantasy is such a beloved franchise that, of course, it's going to have love no matter what. And this is the remake series that exists of a lot of people's favorite game from the past. So they're very protective of it. But it's your favorite game from the past as well. It's one of my favorite games. But I don't particularly love Rebirth. So how can we all love that original game, yet have such wildly different opinions on the remake series? And why it shouldn't be considered toxic just to critique it, even when critiqued thoroughly. Well, it comes down to a few things. Now, I know a lot of people like to throw out the fact that the original devs are working on the remake, and they brandish it like it's a shield against any level of criticism. So I want to do my best to try and explain a concept that might explain how that shield doesn't really hold up.
Yeah, and it's good that he's doing this because, basically, in a nutshell, for a layman, if you're an outsider and you're kind of like new to all this, Sakaguchi was basically the Steven Spielberg, the Martin Scorsese of Squaresoft when FF7 was made. There's a reason Sakaguchi is called the father of Final Fantasy. FF7's themes of life, death, loss, grief, moving on. It's known that that was heavily inspired by his own life experiences. The loss of his own mother, I think, while he was making an earlier FF. Sakaguchi was incredibly central and pivotal to the making of the original FF7. People credit him as a guy who was able to reel in and rein in some of the insanity of the other genius creatives who work there. I assume it would have been something like with Nomura, Nojima, Kitase, and all that. He'd be like, okay, this, and this idea are good, we'll use that. Those others, maybe not. And I imagine they just used the best 20-30% of all of them, put them all into the pot and made this amazing game. FF7 Remake Rebirth does not have this guy at all. Sakaguchi left the company decades ago, and now what you have is it's like trying to make a Steven Spielberg movie without Steven Spielberg. It's like trying to make a Martin Scorsese movie without Martin Scorsese. Anyone can understand that this just won't work. It just doesn't work. And that's the situation 7 Remake finds itself in today. Same characters, with a bunch of new ones that no one cares about. Same-ish story, sort of, but not really, you know what I mean? But there's a reason that it just feels so off and weird and wrong.
You see, we are the experiences we've had. Your opinions, ethics, understanding of narrative structure comes from the experiences you've had before. This is what perspective is. It's how you view the world around you, and it comes from how you've experienced the world previously. So in 1997, the devs had certain specific experiences. They had their perspective. When they made the original Final Fantasy VII, it was made through the lens of the perspective they had at the time. That's why 25 years later, the same people who made the original aren't going to make the same choices. And the reason it feels different to certain people and the same to certain other people is because when they first experienced the original, certain parts stood out to them as more important. Because it's their perspective as well that meshes with the reality of the game in the moment they play it to create their unique view of the game that tell them what is important in that story. A certain character, a certain arc, the atmosphere, the music, the lack of music, the tone, anything they experienced that stood out to them become the core facets of that gaming experience, of that game, of that world.
Here's my opinion. That's totally fine, but just make a different game. If you're going to remake a game from 1997 that's held as extremely special amongst people who played it back then, you should remake the game. They should have taken the approach that Peter Jackson took to the Lord of the Rings books when he turned those into movies. He said that, look, we didn't want to actually put any of our own politics or opinions about the world in these movies of Lord of the Rings. We wanted to stay true to Tolkien's vision, who wrote these books in like decades ago, like 50 to 60 years ago. All right, we wanted to stay true to that vision. Square Enix should have stayed true to the vision of OGFS7 from 1997, not rebranded, retooled it, rewrote it for Kingdom Hearts fans, Disney fans, Marvel fans, and shipping fans. All right, those fandoms I just listed should have been bottom priority. Okay. A big reason a lot of people wanted a remake of FF7 is because they wanted something that felt like how good shit used to be back in the late 90s. And there was a magic to that time period, and this time period we live in today could really use some of that. It's true that our own experiences at that time, like how old we were, the time period back then, can color experiences of this to an extent, but there is a reason that it's almost universal that certain things in this story stick out to basically everyone. Eris's death scene, Red 13's revelation about his own father, Dine's death scene, the music. These are kind of universal amongst almost all people and amongst almost all ages and all time periods. So I don't know how much I agree with this.
So how can one person love the OG but feel like Remake failed to live up to it, while others feel like it nailed it? It's because when in the future, 25 years on, when the developers with a different perspective revisit the game and make changes because they're expanding upon it, and they have to make choices on what gets expanded, they will choose what their perspective now tells them they should.
Again, then don't remake FF7, make a new game. Or if you're going to make this like multiverse spin-off or whatever the hell this is, this weird thing that reads like fan fiction, bad fan fiction, mind you, make it extremely clear that that's what it is. Don't call it FF7 Remake. That's it. Call it FF7. The first game should have been called FF7 Rebirth. The second game should have been called FF7 Resoid. And the third game should be called FF7 Refunded. I don't know. Like, then it's clear what you're doing.
We'll expand upon what seems right to them today to emphasize. And that may not have been what they would have emphasized 25 years ago. Nor will it necessarily match what the fans felt. For some, it does. For some, when they played the original, they saw the quirkiness. They saw the whimsy. That was what stood out to them the most. And your favorite moment was when Red stuffed himself into a sailor suit to try and blend in and wobbled around on deck. Then maybe that's what you wanted to see more of. And so when Remake and Rebirth emphasize it, it feels right. And they are right.
Wrong! Sorry, I don't mean to be rude to the YouTuber here. The thing is, what they should have just done for Remake Rebirth is actually have Red off in a corner, as you can see, just out of the way of everyone else, trying to stand on two legs so he can blend in with his mates, so he doesn't get his party caught, so he doesn't draw attention to them. There's a big difference between that and him moonwalking out in front of hundreds of witnesses, doing Michael Jackson spins, going, humans, huh, ain't no thing, and then challenging Cloud to a game of Queen's Blood. All right, there's a gigantic difference between these two. It's almost like it's not even the same person. There is a big difference between these two. There's a reason that a lot of people say that this feels stupid and wrong and off. It is completely rewritten.
For any fan who played the original back in the day, and that's what they saw, what made them happy, what stuck in their mind as being so important, to see it expanded upon might be exactly what they were expecting and hoping to see in a remake. But for someone else who saw the whimsy and the silly moments as something that was only meant to juxtapose the serious, where it was actually still a very dire story in tone and atmosphere, with the moments, those silly moments, to add levity, to give comparison to the sour, serious nature, then seeing what they do in Remake feels wrong.
That second perspective he's talking about kind of just is in line with how the game is. The game in its atmosphere and its tone, it's very crushing, dark, oppressive, it's very strong, and within that, there are moments of lightness and levity that's sort of like, that juxtaposed to it, as you say. But if someone played OG FF7 and all they remembered was Cloud nearly getting bummed in the bathtub by 10 sweaty men, or Red 13 bobbing around on two legs, if that was the most important part to you, I gotta say, that's not how most people perceived it, and I don't even think that's really the intention of the devs either. I think that this game works the best artistically as what I just described, this overwhelmingly dark, bleak, powerful world that is then fascinating and intriguing for that reason. And in those moments when you least expect it, there's a moment of comedy or humor, and it also doesn't feel forced. It actually feels organic and natural within that world. The balance, the tonal balance of OG FF7 is extremely strong. It's very well done. Rebirth especially is appallingly bad. It's like, it's dog shit, to be honest. There's a reason that just like showing a scene from Rebirth to someone is enough to put them off the game.
The more tears I shed, the better I get in Queen's Blood.
You don't have to tell them anything, you don't have to say anything. If showing someone a scene from a game makes them not want to play the game, the problem is with that game.
It feels like they've abandoned the juxtaposition, or at the very least, reversed it. And they would also be right.
I can see the reverse it argument. I mean, OG FF7 is a serious game with funny moments. Rebirth is a clown show that can't even do its serious moments right.
The perspective of each of us matters when we experience anything. It's why one person can find a scene funny and another person find it profoundly sad. Our perspectives are our reality in experiencing something. Neither are wrong, So feeling like the remakes don't live up to the original while others feel like it absolutely did, both are completely valid.
But as the main character, my opinion is more valid than theirs.
But it doesn't mean
Stop.
that when you used to match someone else's worldview, you will always match their worldview. You will not always have the same perspective, even if it aligned perfectly 25 years ago. And that's essentially what's happened. Yes, the original devs are working, most of them, on the remakes, but it doesn't mean their perspectives are the same as it was 25 years ago.
But the main problem is the lack of Sakaguchi. For example, when remake defenders say, well, Nojima is working on it and he wrote the OG, I actually have to wonder how true that really is, or how much involvement he really had on it, because everything else he's written since, with all due respect, isn't that great. For example, the radio play starring Titus and Yuna from FF10, where Titus kicks a landmine thinking it's a blitzball and it blows his head off, and Yuna has to go and find a way to resurrect him. Or, The Kids Are All Right, the Leslie story, the novella that tells us the story of Don Corneo's doorman. Yes, that riveting tale. I don't know. Yes, the character designer and the monster designer is still there. Yes, Kitase, who I think is largely responsible for the aesthetic of FF7 and 8, is on there. Yes, Nojima, who I guess did some of the writing, is on there. But without Sakaguchi, it's a Steven Spielberg movie without Steven Spielberg.
And so using it as a shield, this defense against any criticism from those that loved the original game, it's not valid. Because what Sebbywebz is saying is his view, his understanding of what made Final Fantasy VII great was changed in Remake. And it has, to his and many others' perspectives. So the catch-all defense of, it's the original devs, so why are you complaining, just can't align with the reality of today. Because for all intents and purposes, they are different people today. Because you would have to keep everyone's perspective in a bubble and not let them evolve, not let them change who they are, not allow them to have new experiences. Because only then will the devs who worked on a game 25 years ago be able to work on a game now the same way they would have, with the same intentions, the same understandings and ideas of what makes storytelling great. And that's simply not how it works. Ask Nomura what he thinks about Les Mis today, and he'll have very different things to say about it than he did in 1997 before he had even seen it. And yet today it inspires a great deal in him. It's self-evident that he and anyone else would make very different choices now than they would back then. And it's because of that when Sebbywebz does his videos and he talks about how Final Fantasy VII's remake trilogy has changed a lot about what made the original so great, it's because he's talking about it from his perspective. He's aligning with how he saw it back then. And it's how a lot of other people see it, but not everyone. And that's
not necessarily, actually, because there's a lot of people who actually haven't played OG FF7 in like decades, like 20 years or more, and there's a lot that when they look at it today, these are the people who they then played Remake or Rebirth, 20 years after they played the OG, and like, I don't know, that was Cloud, that was FF7, something felt wrong. Then when they watch my shot-by-shot comparisons, they're like, holy shazbot, they changed a lot. I, on the other hand, played OG FF7 twice when I was like 10, 11 years old, again in my 20s, and then 3 more times in my 30s. So it's very fresh in my memory, and it's not nostalgia vision. It's, I remember it quite well, quite freshly. There's stuff that you experienced only a certain way because you were a kid at the time, and as an adult, you're like, oh, that wasn't that way at all, or that was shit. OG FF7's not one of those. And the shot-by-shot comparisons show that beyond a shadow of a doubt. But, it's fine, it's fine. This guy's theorizing. Let's, theory crafting. Let's see where he goes with this.
And it's how a lot of other people see it, but not everyone. And that's why when he does his videos, he's not trying to convince you how bad it is, he's pointing out the differences he sees, and his videos are for the people who feel the same way. He's helping them articulate why they struggle to enjoy the new games when they can't quite figure out why everyone else loves them.
That is a comment I get quite often, and it's one of my favorite comments to get. To be like, man, I thought I was going crazy for years, and then I saw these shot-by-shots. I'm like, no, I wasn't crazy. Thank you for that. You know, that's I appreciate that. Or I get another comment saying that, like, sometimes I'll put into words what they were thinking, but couldn't quite articulate. The only reason I can really do that is because I argue with the modern FF fandom on an almost daily basis for like years straight. So you do that, you'll learn to word things as simply and effectively as possible. So there you go. But I do like those comments. Those mean a lot to me, so thank you.
And despite some of his shenanigans,
modern fans, on the other hand, are more like orcs. Unthinking and hideous, they gather in huge swarms under the great eye of Squareon.
he's not doing it by being scathing or using overtly hurtful speech. He's not trying to attack the fans that still love the remake trilogy. He's said many times that he's happy to see people still like them, but what he doesn't want is people telling him that he should like them. And
Thank you. My God. I've said this so many times. It's fine if you like Remake. It's fine if you like Rebirth. You like what you like, it's fine. What I don't like is when people lie about it, lie to other people who are criticizing it, or just outright bully and insult the people who are criticizing it or not happy with it. That's what I don't like. You can like it, man. My God. And don't say that the people who don't like it don't exist. Or at best are like 0.001% of the fandom. They're not, and you know they're not.
And can the way he does that be a bit obnoxious or indulgent? Yeah.
OGFF fans are more like elves, noble and wise. Well, you know, us OGFF7 fans, we are handsome and noble, and someone had to say it, mate. I actually said that to sort of drive home the point that that video is parody satire, and I gotta say, if you don't get that it's parody satire by then you'll never learn, alright? I can't make it any more obvious than that.
But the silly indulgent stuff is his way of defending himself from the more aggressive, toxic stuff that gets thrown at him.
And there's a lot that gets thrown at me. The sort of like jokingly self-indulgent stuff, that's just me having a laugh with it, really. I mean, it's better than being permanently emo. But yes, I do get a lot of hatred online. Not actually that pleasant, but I'm not going to let them get me down either.
Now, you may think I'm just here to glaze him, to blindly support him,
Glaze away!
Because he happens to think the same way I do about everything. But that's actually not true. I certainly don't agree with him on everything. And I think...
Ow, what? Listen, mate, don't you ever have a different opinion from me, alright?
And I think sometimes he can be a bit hypocritical. But I tend to see that mostly in his streams, where he's playing a game for 10 hours straight, and he's just responding off the cuff to remarks.
This is... I actually would agree with this, because if you stream for about 6 years straight, and talk non-stop for about 12-hour sessions, about 2 to 3 times a week, you will eventually say something that conflicts with a thing you said previously. That's going to happen, especially in a rapidly changing world, especially when you're debating, especially when you are responding to multiple people in chat at once, sometimes getting your wires crossed because of that, after 10 hours and after sipping whiskeys, or in my case, sometimes even 10 beers, all right? It's going to happen. Humans are walking contradictions, all right? We can't help it, but the very least we can do is try to be aware of that and try to not be self-contradictory or hypocritical. I try not to be, but I'm human at the end of the day. It's just gonna happen by accident. It's not intentional, it's not some evil mastermind plan, it can happen. It can happen. Also, when I'm like live and just like bantering with you guys in chat, that's just like hanging out with mates and you just talking shit. Like everything I say, everything you say, it's not carved in stone. It's not the 10 commandments according to me. It's also a reason I was hesitant to make a VODs channel for a very long time. And I do have one, Sebbywebz VODs. It's separate from the main YouTube channel where it all lives, because I know that like once it's now in permanent form out there's going to be some people who are like, aha, see? He said it, and it's on the screen in permanent form. It was written. It's like, no. That's there for people who want to catch up with the streams, the playthroughs that they missed, you know, months old, years old and stuff. When I make a video for my main YouTube channel, that's when I try to be as word perfect as possible. And I learned that from a university lecturer I had, and he would say, oh, you know, when I'm doing a talk, you know, stuff can be off the cuff, I can go off on tangents, a bit of improv and all that. If I'm writing a paper to be published or reviewed and stuff, then every word has to be perfect. That's why he'll then sit down and like do that. So I try to take that approach for my main channel, whereas for my streams and my VODs, we're just shooting the shit, man. And even Joe Rogan talks about this, says that, like, you know, a problem with the internet is that a lot of the conversations on the internet, it's just like you just talking shit with your friends. But because shit gets written down or it's in text form or video form, people then treat it as if it was carved in stone, and then they judge it by a different metric.
They're not a well thought out response. And not being perfectly consistent in these moments is pretty reasonable. And
You're
yet,
right.
despite how I feel in those moments, I'm still happy to see him have his vision, his idea of what's going on. If anything, it makes me want to have a conversation, to understand his point of view better. And it's when people don't feel that way, when they don't want to have a conversation, when they don't want to understand why someone thinks differently to them, that it goes down the path towards toxicity. And that's what's happened. I have seen time and time again him give a point of view, his reference, his understanding, and be told horrible things because he shared it. And those comments aren't opening discourse or even just a small slight, but they are genuinely trying to hurt him because the game doesn't match how he saw the game 25 years ago.
It is true. Like, there's a type of comment where it's just like, fuck you, you're wrong, you never played the OJ. Those are kind of just like funny. But there is another kind of comment you'll get from 7 Remake fans, which is like really cruel and calculated. And it's designed to try and undermine your confidence and make you doubt yourself and just feel terrible about yourself in general. Those I don't quite like. There is a true maliciousness you can see in some of that fandom. Like, they're just really... It's almost like kind of sick how some of them write. And yeah, my patience for that kind of comment is just at an all-time low these days. It's like, oh God, why should I read this?
And that's where I think the real toxicity shines through. The toxic fandom, the gatekeeping, not allowing someone to have a different perspective than their own, and telling them that they're a bad person for having it. That's what needs to stop. Not a rage-baiting jester that's goofing on a game he doesn't really like, but the inability to accept people have different perspectives than your own.
Well, here's the problem. It's 2026, all right? Someone having a different perspective from me equals rage bait. All right? That's literally how a lot of people see online discourse these days. Yeah, it's bullshit. It's stupid, but that's how they see it. How do we deal with that? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Considering how I found out about Sebbywebz through that random Reddit post where everyone in there was hating on him because his videos make fun of a game is frustrating.
It's funny to me that I think in the FF7 Remake subreddit, they actually had to make a rule that you are no longer allowed to post my videos specifically and then rant about them for like 3 to 4 pages straight. Apparently that's an actual rule. And, yeah, well, sorry.
So that's pretty much what I have to say. I saw Sebby's videos and I thought they were good. I enjoyed watching them.
Oh, you.
Award-winning voice acting aside. And I got very frustrated at what I kept seeing about the hate and the toxic comments that he was getting. So I wanted to just give my support. And I've done that. And I'm sure I'll give more support in the future because I don't really actually genuinely think anyone's going to stop. I've always wanted to...
We all know they won't stop. But that's alright. That's life.
Make a YouTube channel. And this was it. This was enough for me to finally make my first video because it's always easier to do something for someone else, in my opinion, than for yourself. And I wanted to be there for you. I wanted to be able to defend someone who I thought was a great entertainer, who was being unfairly attacked by people who just didn't understand that it's okay to have a different opinion. But I too have opinions, and not just about Sebbywebz. JRPGs in general. I mean, I don't even think people really know what the term means.
Yeah, this is true, sadly. You know, a game made in France is apparently a JRPG. If an Australian makes a turn-based JRPG style game, is that an ARPG? Because Australia? What if in Jamaica they made an ARPG, like FF16? Is that a JRPG? Because it was made in Jamaica? I think there needs to be a conversation around this definition, you know, because E33 Clair Obscur is a Western RPG, but it plays basically like what you think a turn-based Final Fantasy would play like if that's how they made them anymore. You could say E33 is a JRPG-like, no, what is it? A JRPG style game, but it doesn't play like FF15 or 16, so what?
So tune in next time for JRPGs. What are they, maybe? Yeah, okay, why not? Alright, we're setting up the next video. Which one of these are JRPGs?
Oh, well, it's quite simple. Dark Souls 3, an RPG made in Japan. Dark Souls 3 is my favorite JRPG on this list. Let's get going.
Tell me in the comments. And stay tuned to find out.
I appreciate that. There you go, there you go. That was by Meeple Deep. Yeah, his first video. And yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. I will shout out that in chat. If you want to see more videos by this guy, yeah, like and subscribe. And yeah, starting a new YouTube channel is pretty tough, man. And you know what?
You all right?
I appreciate you standing up for me, man. So as much as I don't know how much influence or pull I have on YouTube, but if I could help out this guy's channel, there it is. You know the name of it now, you know the type of video, and so on and so forth. Hashtag Sebbywebz. Does that even exist? Only feedback I could give is if you're making YouTube videos, try and like have the editing be as tight as possible. At the very least, like I try to have as little space or gaps in between sentences or words as possible. I think people like it when you're just talking all the time. Yeah, I don't know. Good luck, man. There's no other advice I can really give. They say on YouTube, you need to make your first 100 videos before you even start to know what you're doing. It's brutal. Do some research into how the algorithm works. Get vidIQ. vidIQ is an add-on that helps give scores for like how catchy your titles and thumbnails and descriptions. And look at other videos and channels that are successful and try to understand why they are. That's the best advice I can give. Well, actually, let's read some of these comments. He is completely correct on the remakes. It's why his channel has grown so much. True fans are sick of modern fans. Oh, God. The thing is, right, this is a simplification. There's a lot of modern fans who actually, like, enjoy my content, or they like the games, they still like my stuff, or they agree with my criticisms, actually. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I can see why you don't like that about Remake Rebirth. I still like it, though. I like your channel. All right, but there is a type of modern fan who is obscenely toxic, like brutally toxic, and it's very annoying. Official Rave Blitz. Sebby is kind of an asshole. He kicked me from his Discord server, all because I was defending the Star Wars prequels, especially the fact that I even dared to say Jar Jar Binks is a good character. Actually, Official Rave Blitz, the reason you got kicked from my Discord is not because you like Jar Jar Binks, it's because you spent about 1 to 2 hours straight trying to rewrite the narrative and say that Jar Jar is some masterpiece, work of art of a character, and anyone who disagreed with you is an idiot, is stupid, and doesn't understand art. You were relentlessly condescending and rude to me and everyone else for about 2 hours straight. I specifically remember when you said, oh, Jar Jar's based on Buster Keaton. You probably don't know who that is. Yes, I know who Buster Keaton is, the silent film star alongside Charlie Chaplin from the early 1900s. Yes, I know who that is. That's why you got kicked. You also argued that Jar Jar Binks was a universally popular and beloved character and no one hated him. That's not true. Everyone in my school hated him. Everyone in everyone's school hated him. Jim Jeffries, when he did his stand-up comedy routine about how he watched the Phantom Menace on ecstasy, MDMA, when he was a teenager, and thought it was amazing because he was flying, he has a line in it where he's like, Jar Jar Binks, Oh, I smell an Oscar. And the audience bursts out into laughter. That joke only works when everyone knows that Jar Jar Binks sucks and everyone hated him. Now, the straw that broke the camel's back in this conversation was when I said, look, man, you've been trying to rewrite the narrative about Jar Jar Binks for about 1 to 2 hours straight. It's not working, man. It's not going to happen. You posted a My Little Pony meme doing a head spin saying deal with it. Now, look, I already have the modern FF community disrespecting me on a daily basis. I'm not adding the Star Wars community and the Brony community on top of that as well. Didn't recognize your name, to be perfectly honest. You're not a regular. I'm getting too old for this shit. And that's why you're out. You had 2 hours to get the hint, and you didn't. And yeah, and also I do see you hop into other comment sections of other videos trying to spread this narrative that I'll kick you from my Discord if you slightly disagree with me on anything. No, you got kicked because you were extremely annoying, rude, and disrespectful to me and everyone else for about 2 hours straight. That was the first impression I got of you. That's why you're out. Jar Jar Binks is a weird hill to die on, Donkey Kong. It is, isn't it? It is, isn't it? I just wanted to read the comments to respond to that comment, because that has been a long time coming. Oh, by the way, all this happened about a month ago. This happened like 1 to 2 months ago, man. Are you still doing this? Still going from comment section to comment section, trying to weave this stupid narrative? The one last thing I just want to say before this video ends. Jar Jar Binks sucks. Deal with it. Yeah, but anyway, thank you, Meeple Deep, for that video. I appreciate that. Sorry, that's the real subject of this video. Guys, chuck him a follow. Link is in the description. Pinned comment, so on and so forth. Good luck with your YouTube channel, man. It's a hard road, but if I can do it, so can you.